Your Excellency, the Commander and President of the EFF, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, and the regional deans present. My name is Muhammad Haruna Manta. I'm the High Commissioner of Nigeria. My boss has taken the cell out of my ship because the first question I have just two questions, has been taken by him because the president, in your address, you made no mention, I don't know if it's deliberate, of the AU as well as the regional blocks, SADC, for instance, in addressing some of the ills, bedeviling the various regions. You did mention some of those forces that try to tear us apart, like it is in Mozambique, but you did not mention anything, whether SADC is doing anything at all, which you appreciate. I would love that you take another look at how the EFF will strengthen this regional organization, or whether or not the EFF does not see the value addition in the AU as well as SADC in the agenda you have for governance. The second question I wish to ask is on the basis of economic integration, the world is seen as a global village. Whether from the west or from the east, the emphasis I thought for Africa should be who will be our trading partner, and not the very radical posture of the socialist concept, which probably was very relevant in the after the Berlin Conference, 1880 something, 1884, 85. But today, we don't have colonialism to fight as such, because the whole of Africa has been decolonized. South Africa is independent, Namibia is independent, and so is the whole African continent, with the exception of probably some aggression against Western Sahara. So is it not time that EFF takes a posture that is more inclusive of development concepts rather than imaginary fighting colonialists that do not exist in any way? Because the interest of the world is more virtually focused on how do I develop on an economic concept, how do I attract? Sometimes the development economists call it foreign direct investment, FDI. How do I attract that? So I would like to know what the EFF thinks about the economic integration of the African continent, as well as what the AU has done in promulgating or forming the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, as well as the 2063 agenda. Thank you.
So guys, before this video went I'm so eager to respond to this. Before Malema responds, here you have the High Commissioner of Nigeria. So now we have an idea how the president thinks, because this is one of his closest ally. And he's saying there's no more colonialism, there's no more imperialist, there's no our African countries is independent. So if this is how the president of Nigeria is thinking, I'm 100% sure with this mentality he will attack Niger, because what he's saying makes no sense. Number one, majority of the countries in Africa is not independent. They don't have soul, they don't have autonomy. Most of them, not all of them, but some of them, they don't have full autonomy. They are independent within the French system, as well as it's like Jamaica, where I'm from. Jamaica is independent since 1962, but they're not fully autonomous. They still have to go to the Queen for certain appointments and to clear certain laws. Barbados, on the other hand, is fully independent and autonomous from England. They make all their own decisions, they make all their own rules. Barbados is independent. So most African countries is like Jamaica. They're not fully 100% independent. They still have some ties to the colonial masters. So let's hear what Malema will say on this topic. Boom.
This thing of territorial threats, we know them here. We've got an army base here in Botswana. What is America doing here in Botswana? Why is Africa not in American borders? What do you call that? And you come and say imperialism and colonialism is finished. When people expand their territorial expansion through putting military bases at our borders. There's a military base here. A study has been conducted that a fighter jet that moves from that army base to the Union building will not take less than 2 minutes to bomb the Union building. If a war is declared with America, America does not have to assemble any resource from Washington or anywhere else to come here. They are already here. What do you call that? It's democracy. It's free world. We must celebrate that and say, no, imperialism is no longer there. It's in our head. We understand what Putin is fighting against because we have it here. Here. What is it doing here? We never went to Asia. We never went to Europe. We never went to America. We are here. We don't establish bases anywhere. Why should you establish bases in military bases in our continent? And when we speak, it's called old-fashioned politics. That they are out of fashion. There's no such a thing as imperialism. When imperialism is breathing on our neck, yeah, we're not going to allow that. We are going to expose that American military base here all the time in the platforms we get and educate our people that this is exactly what Putin is fighting against. America will not allow that. That Russia must go and establish a military base in Cuba with missiles facing the USA. They won't allow that. So we must not be allowed, we must not be asked to accept the things that you will not accept if they were to happen in your countries. And that's what we're talking about when we speak about NATO and peace not going together. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean enmity. We're not enemies. We engage robustly. Our policies can be challenged the same way we challenge your policies. We are open for engagement. South Africa is open for investment in our own terms. We know what multinational companies have done to our economy, coming to milk our resources, leaving us dry. The case in point is a place called Marikana. Just go and see what the London mine did there and what Sibanye is doing there. To date, with a huge operation of a mine just next to it, there is no water, there's no tar road, there's no electricity, there are no houses, no proper schools. People are squashed in one place. Yet, a stone thrown away, there is a mine. We cannot allow that to continue.
So guys, here you see where Malema is saying. He's basically saying, but this guy is crazy. You have the US base right in Botswana, 2 minutes away from from the borders of South Africa, where they can launch an attack within 2 minutes and destroy the government building. Not only that, you still have countries that still have to be paying money to France, to Germany, to Europe, to Holland, to America. They still have countries up to today in Africa. Matter of fact, you have 14 countries that France is minting their currency. So that means they have to pay France to make their own currency, to make the currency for them. So how is that not colonialism still at its best? You have countries like, for instance, right now currently going on Niger, still exporting almost 70% of their uranium to France. Not because they want, because they don't have a choice. It's law. Botswana had the same issue. Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, all these countries had the same issue. That's why they end up having coups and then kicking out the French and the Americans and the Europeans, totally, and changing the language as well. Mali and Burkina Faso no longer accept French language as the official language of those countries. So just to show you, that's an example of where this Nigerian High Commissioner, along with the president, because he was sent there by the president to represent Nigeria. And this is not to say the citizens of Nigeria do not think like this. I'm talking about the powers to be in Nigeria, which is the president and the Senate. Well, not the Senate, because the Senate did vote against going to war with Niger. And the citizens, over 30,000 citizens, protested against attacking Niger militarily. So the country and the citizens and the Senate is not with this narrative, but the president and the High Commissioner, you can see, is clearly bought and paid for by the Europeans, which in this case the French and the Americans, because he partners up with America and he partnered up with the French to attack Niger, along with the ESCO. And this is so weird to me, why they are protecting the colonialist agenda. Right? Why? This is so disheartening coming from the Nigerian president, because he's just recently been elected. So you know he's going to be there for a while. So if he's thinking like this, that the colonialism is done with, imperialism is done with, there's no longer any need for, he's basically saying slavery and all that thing is finished, it's done, it's over. So what are we fighting for? This is what they are thinking. That's why I'm thinking these older politicians should not be in power, because you can't change these guys' mind. You can't. The only thing you can do is protest and put pressure on them to not take action. But apart from that, they're already set in their ways. Because look at this, these guys are at least in their 60s, maybe older. And they are thinking as if colonialism is done since the Berlin Accord, which was in 1894 or 1884. I'm not 100% sure on which one, but the Berlin Accord also divided up Africa between the Europeans. So how are they going to come and say we're free since the Berlin Accord? So this guy is so out of touch, and most likely he have his money secure in Europe and have a house in Europe and all this. Again, he's a puppet. He's a puppet of the system. He's not for African continent, and a few of them, we have a few like this, we have to get rid of. When I say get rid of, I mean get them out of power. May they become an regular citizen, they don't have no say in democracy or in the way forward for Africa. That's why big up respects to Julius Malema, Museveni, President Kakami. You have the Ugandan president, I keep forgetting his name. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name, but the president of Namibia, the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo, but he's not 100% with us, but he's doing certain things. President Ruto of Kenya. These are the superstars of Africa currently who do not take talk from them. So let's hope Nigeria don't actually go to war along with the ESCO to Nigeria, which means attacking their own brethren for the sakes of the colonial powers. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and some people say pray, but let's say there's hope, and this can be resolved diplomatically and not militarily, because we're going to be killing our own brothers and sisters, which we need to stop. Period, point blank. So anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. As always, it's a WSXN podcast. Tell a friend, like, comment, share, I don't know. Boom!